That's what I was saying. When I was saying Kathleen's face.
Oh, right.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Oh, it is. All right. Even though that clock doesn't say so, it is 6 o'clock, so we're gonna call the meeting to order. First up is the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, approval of the minutes dated May 19, 2025 and June 17, 2025.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion, corrections, omissions, otherwise? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes of May 19th and June 17th? It is unanimous. Next up is approving the roll of accounts dated May 29th, 2025 in the amount of $393,220.76 and dated June 12th in the amount of $223,638.32. Do we have a motion to approve those rolls? Motion approved.
Second.
Second from Ashley. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving those rolls as presented? Unanimous. Do we have any committee reports? All right, we'll get that behind us. And before we go any further beyond that, if there's no objection, what I'd like to do is move up in our agenda new business, so they don't have to hang around all meeting, even though they're more than happy to if they'd like. The recognition of the track state champions. And we have one. Oh, one. Oh, yeah.
For 2 runs. No, he went for 2 runs.
Oh, 2 of them. Oh, that's right. Coach gets one, forgets the team.
Not this year.
I know. You got a few though.
No, yeah, always.
So I'll see if I got the pronunciation right. Hassan Abi, is that correct? Abi?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we do these awards for those who have won a state competition of some sort, whatever it is. Could be athletics, it could be academics, it could be performing arts, it could be a number of things. In this case, it happens to be athletics. I guess I would ask Coach to maybe say a few words and explain a little bit about what
Sure.
has been accomplished. And I don't know if Jim has anything to add after that, but.
So Hassan's a junior, going to be a senior this year. Statistically, top 5 hurdler in the state. So in both the 110 hurdles, which is just a straightaway, and then 300 hurdles, which is 3/4 of the track. To put it into perspective, Hassan broke the school record also with a 15:15 this year, which was held for, I don't know, something like 20 years or so. The 300 hurdle, he's just a little bit off. That's held by Cody Sooney, who now has been out of school probably like 15 years or so. So he's on the track to do some big things. Just something that's a little different about Hassan that a lot of other kids in our community don't have to endure during the spring season. Hassan celebrates Ramadan, so he goes 40 days, 40 nights because of his religion. So he comes into the season, or he's in season sometimes, and has to overcome that obstacle of becoming nourished again and finding a way to push through that, that celebration that they have. So it takes him a little while to bounce back, but this season, because Ramadan was early, he was able to bounce back a little early. So it's a pretty cool accomplishment when you think about how far he comes in a single season, because not everybody, right, in our community has to do that. So it's pretty cool to see him overcome that. He's a great leader in the school. He's super academically, he's just really even keeled. He's kind of got a quirky sense of humor if you get to know him. He'll be the kid running the 100 with all of a sudden has a mustache on, which nobody knows where it came from. A little weird. You just don't know until you get to the finish line. I'm like, what is that? Where did it come from? He's just a cool kid. I mean, he's what I think Winslow is all about, right? He's that pure, loving, loves his community, and gives it his all. If you don't know, he is also an over 1,000-yard rusher in football. So he does it all. He kicks the PATs, he'll paint your fence and walk your dog, as some movies say, right? So just a great kid. These awards are awesome to give, but I think the bigger award is that he's in our community. So that being said, Hassan won at the Class C state meet. Even with his time, he could have won Class B. He would have been third at Class A. So kind of shows you where he's at athletically. Comparatively, if you wanted to compare him to another athlete, we could have run him like we had run Joey last year. He was top 3 in the 100 individually. He could have been top 5 in the 200, and he could have won the 400 as well. But we knew the writing on the wall was, let's just get him those 2 state championships if we can, and then kind of let him run with our other team, which he helped our 4x4 relay team secure a 2nd place spot, which was pretty tough to do against the field. There are 46 teams completing in Class C, the largest state class meet of any size in our state. So for him to be able to accomplish these is no small feat. So again, great kid, and Hassan, they'll do your awards, I'm assuming, you're here in a moment.
Yeah. Did Jim have anything to add? Or?
I would just echo that he's pretty well covered. Great young man, great in the classroom. I will tell you this fall, I had the privilege of going to a leadership conference with him. And unfortunately, Hassan drew the short straw. He had to sit next to me all the way, both back and forth.
That's a really short straw.
I came home and I said to my wife, I said, Hassan's a wicked cool kid. And I'm thinking, and Mary Tom, cool kid. And I'm thinking, he probably went home with the officers. Man, he's a great kid. I've enjoyed watching because he's a great sport. He's a great athlete. He's great in the classroom. He's a leader. And he pretty much covers all those bases. I agree with Ken. Yeah. Congratulations, son. Thank you. Good work, buddy.
All right. So these, you're going to be a senior next year, so you can wear these at graduation. And kind of guessing you might have a few more by then. Congratulations is number 1. Number 2. Great job. Thank you. Congratulations, being coach, because you have a tendency to bring great athletes for us, so we get to do this with on a regular basis. So.
Makes it easier if they're good.
Well, coach has something to do with getting them there, so thank you.
Well, thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
See you next year. That's great. All right. Right, I think that was everything we're gonna move up for right now. So, administrator reports. Is this your last one?
Yep. So, as this is my final school board meeting here, I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you. I've had the privilege of being part of the school community for the past 7 years. Ooh, I thought all my crying was done. Been doing so good lately. First as assistant principal, and then as principal the last 5 years. I stepped into the principal role at the start of the pandemic, which was an incredibly challenging time for all of us. But through it all, I've had the steady support of the school board. Thank you for believing in me, for backing our school, and for always putting students first. I will also want to take a minute to thank the administrative team, including Peter, all of you guys, even the chat. You are an incredible group of professionals, thoughtful, collaborative, and truly dedicated. I've learned so much from you and have been proud to work alongside you every day. The school's in a great place, and I'm confident it will continue to thrive. Over the past few years, I've had the privilege of watching Mr. Hersom grow into an exceptional leader. Since stepping into the role as assistant principal, he has taken on every challenge with thoughtfulness, integrity, and a deep commitment to our students and staff. He has earned the trust of this community, and it's clear he is more than ready to take on the role as principal. He has my full confidence, and I know he will lead the school forward with strength and heart. Thank you all again. It has been an honor. And with that, I'd like to turn the podium over to him.
Thank you, Erica. Just have a few comments prepared. I'd like to start by just thanking the school board for your time and your support throughout the school year. It really means a lot and it's very much appreciated, all that you do for our students and staff. Winslow Elementary, we had a busy finish to our school year, including the following highlights. We had students working really hard on their end of year assessments for the last month or so of the school year. We had our 5th and 6th grade students, if they participated in band or chorus, they both had a concert. We had a band concert May 22nd and chorus concert May 28th. We also had assemblies toward the end of our school year, including wildlife encounters, Bikes for Books assembly, where bikes were passed out throughout each grade level. And we had our student spotlight assemblies where altogether we had 73 students who were recognized in grades K through 6. We also had field day in that first week of June, where there were a lot of fun, engaging activities planned for all of our students. And a big thank you needs to go to Mrs. Tyler, Laura Tyler, Andrea Bragdon, and Sabrina Bassel for all their planning and organization to make it a successful day for everyone. The last day and a half of the school year, we had our kindergarten screening, where we currently have 71 students registered to start in the fall, and we had 69 of those students come in for an appointment that they set up to come into our building for the screening activities. And we're looking forward to having those students come back and join us again once the school year gets started at the end of August. For the summer work, we are getting ready to start our summer school, which will be July 7th, and that will go for 3 weeks. There will be a schedule of Monday through Thursday for 3 weeks, and it'll go from 8 until 12 o'clock noon. And we have 30 students who are planning on joining us for that. And then as we get into the weeks ahead into the summer, we will continue to reflect on this school year, look at the data that we have from this past school year and what we can do to plan and get ready for another school year coming up soon. So that's all that I have. Thank you.
So while we're talking the elementary school, before we move on, thank you, Erica, for all that you've done for Winslow schools for the 7 years. Yeah, you dove into the deep end when you took the principalship. COVID and all, in the middle of all that, it was definitely a trying time. Tough place to be a new principal, that's for sure. But we do appreciate your efforts on that front, and part of the team that kept things together while we're going through all that difficulty. Yeah, it's been great working with you over that time, and the schools are doing good, and I'm said some good things about Tom, and we are looking forward to his carrying the work forward. And again, thank you for everything, and wish you very well in your future endeavors. All right, thank you. Mr. Purple.
All right, I'll be doing the junior high report tonight. Just to kind of wrap up the end of the school year since our last meeting. On June 2nd, we had the step up day for the incoming 7th grade students next year. There were several of our students that are 7th or 8th graders this past year that helped out with that, providing tours and answering questions from a student's perspective from the 6th graders that they may have. So that was a great day. They were here for a good part of the morning and got to see the building while the high school was doing their thing in finals or final classes and whatnot. Thank you to Kate Herson for organizing all of this and getting everything arranged. So it went very well, and it's an annual thing we do, and I think it helps out a lot getting them into the building. On June 12th, our students, all students went on a field trip. The 7th grade went to Lake St. George, and the 8th grade went to Lake George. Students and staff had a great day. We had great weather. Everything went well, so that's an annual thing that they do as well. So again, great day for them. Last day of school was the 13th. 7th and 8th grade had assemblies in the high school gym. It started off with the 7th grade assembly. Mr. Briggs invited families as students were recognized for their academic success and growth, as well as the respectful and responsible behaviors they displayed throughout the school year. In addition, individual teachers also gave out awards to recognize students, their success in various areas in their classes. And also, in addition, we also recognize several staff members that won't be with us next year, either through retirement or have just moved on to other things. And obviously gave some thanks to them. About halfway through the 8th grade assembly, the 7th graders joined them for the second half, and they get to watch the presentation of the Whitaker Award, which went to Clarice Jones for her contribution to school, for her academics, extracurriculars, and just being a all-around positive example for students here to follow. The presentation of the Renaissance sweatshirts were then given out. There were about 30 students who were recognized with sweatshirts, and to earn one of those, you had to be on the honor roll for 7 of the 8 quarters while you were in the junior high. At the end of the assembly, Mrs. Burgoyne put together a slideshow of the 8th graders, of pictures taken throughout the last 2 years at various events and activities here at the school. And then again, that's a tradition that's always there. Thank you, Mrs. Burgoyne, again for doing that. And to the teachers that gave pictures, that was probably 15, 20 minutes long. It was pretty good to see the kids kind of reminiscing through that over that time. A lot of laughs and some crying as well. That's a good thing to end on. And just to close up, thank you to the board and Mr. Tivita for your support of us and the students throughout the school year. And we're currently preparing schedules and looking at data and all the great stuff, setting goals, looking forward to next year already. And hopefully we'll have another great year. Any questions?
Perfect.
Have a good summer.
Thank you guys for a great another year out of the junior high.
Howdy, everyone. Frequently this time of year, you'll run into somebody in the community and they'll be like, you still go to work in the summertime? And so I'm gonna kind of just use an analogy of what it's like to be a building principal or assistant principal or district administrator in the off season, if you will, right? I'm gonna go back to Bill Belichick when he was the coach of the Patriots. They won the Super Bowl. He might have, maybe he went to Martha's Vineyard for a couple of days, right? He went out on his boat. They had the parade, but the day after the parade, he was back in the office getting ready for the next season. That's really what we do. School got out on Monday for the staff. We were in on Tuesday, met with Peter and Michelle to go over some of the NWEA and I-Ready results, and it's game planning for the leadership retreat. Just like Bill Belichick got ready for OTAs this time of year, right? We're getting ready for the leadership retreat. We're reviewing the data, whether it's behavior data, math data, reading data, science data, failure data, attendance data, you name it, we're looking at it. And we're trying to find what are the common themes here and what can we do to improve those things and get ready. And that's kind of where we're at, right? Players leave, teachers leave. We have to fill those positions and get the best people for the position for our kids. That way they're game ready come September. So that's it. Graduation went off without a hitch and we got 80-ish kids across the stage, and summer school starts the week after next. So we've got a couple teachers coming in to work on personal learning plans with kids. I'm not sure exactly what our numbers are. Usually we have about 40 kids in the summertime that come in to do some credit recovery work. And yeah, we're ready. We're getting ready for another year. There is no off season.
I like your analogy though, I think that.
A lot of my analogies sometimes miss. So
That one works.
as I was thinking of it walking up here, I'm like, I'm gonna probably mess this up.
Well
That's it
done
for me.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
I'll defer my time till in business.
Very good.
Been a great year, and thank you for all of your support as well. I heard a phrase the other day that it really kind of stuck with me. Someone had said, "The days are long, but the year is short." And that really kind of sums up the school year. They feel long, but then all of a sudden it's over. Our extended school year program also starts on July 7th, and it runs for 3 weeks until July 24th. We will be running from 8 to 12 Monday through Thursday, and breakfast and lunch is provided for students. We do have 28 students total and 9 staff. The goal for our special education summer programming is a little bit different. It really isn't tied to students that are below grade level. It really is tied directly to IEP goals and students maintaining skills on those IEP goals. We typically measure that through some sort of regression over breaks or over the summer or school break. So it is a little bit different. I do have some staff openings at the elementary school. We have 2 Ed Tech 3s in the behavior program and 1 Ed Tech 3 in the autism life skills program because that teacher transferred into that Ed Tech transferred into the teaching position. And at the high school, we have 1 Ed Tech 3 in the behavior program and 1 Ed Tech 1 in the life skills program.
Hopefully we can fill those this summer and we're in good shape. So this is your first year here, so
This is my first year.
thank you for all you've done and hit the ground running in, what, is it October? Something like that, so.
October 2nd.
Great.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Each year after the season is completed, each school votes for the sportsmanship awards from the teams they've competed against. And this spring, we got 2 more sportsmanship awards. Our girls lacrosse team was recognized and our softball team was recognized. And what makes that really special is there's a total of 6 teams that won that award this year. So not only putting our athletes on the field who compete at the highest, but they're also showing the highest level of sportsmanship. And I think that's a tribute to the parents, to the school, to everybody that our student athletes have this kind of recognition. Other than that, we had a good season, and we hope we'll have a good summer. A lot of summer sports have already started, so it's good.
Jim, in your time here, 6 teams.
Oh,
won
it's
the
great. Yeah.
Sportsmanship award and 1.
Yeah, normally it's
year.
1 if you're lucky, 1 a year, and then you go years without them.
Yeah.
But 6 this year.
I really thought we ought to try to find somebody who would say something about that in the newspaper.
So that's quite a compliment to your schools, because, you know, on the other side, when people call you bad sports, you don't want that, so
We
it's
don't
good to
want
call
that.
good sports. Thank you.
We've all seen those sidelines somewhere. We don't want that. So, thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Any questions for Jim, by the way?
Oh, sorry.
All right. All right, very good. Corey?
It's gonna be a busy summer this year. In the last 2 weeks, we got the irrigation, field house together. We should be able to start watering the football field tomorrow with it, with the new water line that we had to install and build a shed around it. We're gonna house all of our water wheels in there. Instead of running them to the public works every fall, we're gonna winterize them, stick them in there so they're close and on hand. This summer, we have a couple big projects going on, so everything's gonna start picking up here in July. Other than that, we're just gonna try to maintain, get everything cleaned up and buildings ready for next year. I had 1 staff member retire. The Ziggy was custodian at the junior high, so we will be replacing 1 staff member this year before the start of school.
Sounds good. Sounds like you'll be busy this summer, as you
Yes.
always are.
Yep.
No, I don't know how the analogy is, the football analogy for that one. It's kind of on season for you.
Yes,
Summer.
it's go time now.
Rest was just practice.
Yes.
All right. Who else we got? Anybody else? All right. Very good. Amanda.
So 97.8% of the fiscal year has passed and 92.08% of the budget has been spent. We have a lot going on over the next week. It's our biggest payroll of the year and accounts payable roll this week. And we do an additional accounts payable roll on the 30th to close out any additional invoices coming in.
Typical year-end stuff.
Yep, a lot going on.
So, any questions? We're good? All right. Thank you. Peter.
Yeah, last Friday, Michelle and I attended a crisis event training provided by the state and local police officers. This took place in Chelsea at the Chelsea School. We were observers as we witnessed several scenarios unfold, shooting scenarios. And so we were able to be observers and monitor. We were able to ask questions of those who were there. The information that we learned will be used with our own administrative team as we continue modifying our plans. One of the biggest things that we learned is that there is no such thing as one plan in stone. It changes constantly. So it was good for us to go. We got some good information that we will bring back and share with the team. Today I attended the annual commissioners conference, superintendent's conference. Various sessions were offered on different topics such as artificial intelligence, child development services, and demystifying artificial intelligence for school leaders. There's a lot of information obviously about this for our administrators as it pertains to policy, for our teachers, and as it pertains to, you name it, lesson development, lesson plan, lesson design, IEPs. I mean, it's endless. So we're just scratching the surface and we need to start getting involved with more and more of this type of information. In my letter to you, I said that we received a letter from the state, from the DOE regarding our procurement review of the Winslow Public Schools Nutrition Department. They were requesting certain documents in order to complete that review. And those documents have all been submitted, all been approved. And so everything is good to go there. July 2nd, we have the admin leadership workshop. I call it a workshop, every time I call it a retreat, everybody asks me, where's the retreat part of this? So it's a workshop for the administrators. On August 12th, we have the first day of our summer leadership retreat with the entire leadership group. It's about 45 people along with the administrators, and several administrators alluded to what we do on that particular day, where we look at our goals, look at our data, and start making plans again for next year, which is actually the start of the budget development process, because when you start thinking about the things that you are going to do, some of those things have a price tag attached to them. So it all starts there. August 13th is the second day of that summer leadership retreat, and that's a half day on that particular day. I did want to point out, as all of you know, that the election results came out very well. On the referendum, obviously passed, 437 votes. The official count was 437 votes yes, 128 no. Article 2 also passed, and Article 2 asks the voters if they want to continue with the referendum process, meaning it goes out to vote for the voters, and that passed as well, 461 yes to 104 no. I'd like to just take a moment to thank everyone who is either here, listening online, who exercised their right to vote. It was a very important act to do, because it was a non-primary year. We knew the votes would be low voter turnout. So this is actually a really good voter turnout since it was a non-primary year. So thank you to all who exercised their right to vote. The other thing that I would like to go back to, just on the agenda, we do have a few transfers. Sam Smith, fourth grade teacher, is transferring This is a voluntary transfer to sixth grade social studies. Holly Bates, earlier in the year, you might remember her name. She asked to transfer from her position as a cook from a 6-hour day to 3.75 hours a day. She would like to renege on that, and I've approved that. She wants to stay in the same position that she's in, so she's not going to reduce her time. So I've approved that. The last thing that I would like to say, because this is the end of the year, the last time that we'll meet as a board officially, is to thank all of you for your outstanding support and work and commitment throughout the course of the year. It's hard to believe that we've completed another year. Absolutely crazy how fast the time goes. But without your support, a lot of things that happen that are really great things in this school district wouldn't happen. So thank you for everything that you do. I also want to thank Erica Gower. We thanked her at the administrative team. It was a tough meeting, a good meeting, but a really tough meeting. Erica had a lot of firsts as the principal at Winslow Elementary School. First time as a principal at Winslow Elementary School. She gets into the position and boom, we get hit with this thing called COVID. And I will never forget that the image is burned in my head, because you may or may not remember, but our administrative team met every Saturday morning or every Saturday night online, or every Sunday morning or every Sunday night. We did this for a year online every weekend. And I remember one particular morning when Erica, the look on her face was, I don't remember asking for this thing called COVID as we're meeting. Her hair was everywhere. The camera came on, and all of a sudden the camera went off. Another first for Erica was a $2.2 million addition to her building as a result of COVID. I mean, that was a positive thing that came out of that, because we were able to write a project. We were one of 20 school districts in the state that were able to use COVID funds under the guidance of social distancing, and we put on a $2.2 million addition at the elementary school to no cost to the local taxpayers. I mean, I think that's one of those things that a lot of people aren't aware happened. And Erica was involved, obviously, with that construction of that, walking around with the hard hat, and it was a first. It was a first for her as well. Another first was closing down the junior high building and having the sixth graders move into her building and saying, "Wait a second, I'm an elementary school principal. How did I get sixth graders?" So a lot of the firsts that occurred were things that have prepared her for her next steps, because there will be a lot of firsts, and there will be a lot of things that are unfamiliar. However, your attitude of, we can get through this, and let's get after it, and we'll figure it out, will serve you well. We thank you for your time, for your years with us, and for all that you've done. And that's all that I have.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Next up is public comment. Do we have anything here for public comment? Okay. Given that we have a long agenda, we don't have to read the introduction to public comment and let everybody know how that works, but if you want to check it out, it's on the website, and you can check that out for a future meeting, where you can write us via email anytime you'd like. So, public comment being closed, we'll go on to old business. First up is the second reading of the 2025-2026 Winslow School budget. We always do the second read after the referendum, because we don't know if this is where we do the final approval of the budget, and we don't know if the citizens have approved it yet. So we don't do ours until they do theirs. So here we are, they've done their part, and now is our time to approve the second read. So do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the second reading.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? I will point out again, for those who might not know, that a reduction from the previous year's budget is not something that happens often by any stretch. This is only the second time in my 20 years, and this one is by far the largest of those two. So it's a outstanding we were able to accomplish that and achieve what we want to achieve with our budget to meet the goals and for our students, So, if you guys anything else? All in favor of approving the second read of the budget? All right, unanimous. Next up is the second reading of policy GCSA, employee computer and internet use, and GCSA-R, which is the policies that go with that, procedures and policies. Do we have a motion to approve that second reading?
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second? Second. All right, any discussion? All in favor of approving the second read of policy GCSA and -R, which is the procedures, it's unanimous. Next, we have the second reading of policy EEA-EFA, video surveillance on school property. It's the second read, so we've already seen it once. Do we have a motion to approve this second read of this policy?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Karen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the second reading of policy EEA-EFA? Unanimous. Thank you. New business, we already did the track state champion, which is always a good thing. Next up is an out-of-state trip request from Sarah Bullwinkle. And I assume she's got some information for us.
Can I screencast his computer or to the television?
I
It's fine.
don't know. We'll wait that.
So my name is Sarah Bullwinkle, and I joined Winslow at the beginning of the school year, so I just completed my first year. I teach French at the junior high school and in the high school, and it's been a fantastic year, so thank you for bringing me to Winslow. I've really enjoyed working here. And I'd like to plan a trip to go to Quebec City over Memorial Day weekend next year. I would like to go to Quebec so that my students can use the vocabulary and the grammar that we're learning very diligently in the classroom. And I believe that it is a great way to experience daily life by taking a trip that's only about 4 hours north of here. I would like to use the school bands if they are available.
They look like that.
Do they look like, it's the mystery machine. Okay.
Brings back the Scooby-Doo days.
I'd like to open the trip to any junior or senior that is enrolled in a French class and in good academic standing. As far as lodging goes, there are many, many hotels in Quebec that are affordable, but there are also options at the Université Laval where you can stay for $35 a night, which is very inexpensive. Also, I went to Laval to study French, and I have students who are going to local colleges that don't necessarily offer French, but there are great summer programs all over Quebec where you can go for a few weeks in the summertime. So it's also an opportunity to introduce programs beyond what they'll get like Husson College, for example, doesn't really have a French program, but they could learn more about this program. We study a lot of food and different culinary aspects of Francophone culture, so I'd like to take them to Quebec to try poutine at Chez Ashton, which is a very affordable thing we can do. There's also a really lovely ice cream shop in the city across the St. Lawrence River in Lévis. So we would go to these places and my students would obviously order in French, they would read the menu in French, have to communicate in French. We do a shopping unit, so we'd go into the old town and they can do some shopping. I'd take them to a grocery store so they can see how overwhelming it is to suddenly be surrounded by French and hopefully talk to people. There are also bookstores I'd like to visit. If you know anything about Quebec City, the Plaines d'Abraham are really beautiful. We could visit the Citadel, learn a little bit about the history. or Chateau Frontenac, which is also really beautiful. Near Quebec City, there's a waterfall where we could go zip lining if that's something that my students wanted to do. There are lots of different options that we could do. We don't have to do all of these things, including going to this beautiful art museum that is in Quebec City. So it would be a great trip. And I think that we could do it in an affordable way. I've done a lot of research into package tours, and they are so expensive, and you have to take so many students, and you don't get any control over what you do. So even though this is my first time planning a trip to Quebec with students, I lived there, so I'm familiar with the city. I would like to do it not with a group tour. I think we could save money and make it a lot more reasonable just for a short amount of time with a small amount of students who are advanced in the language. We are also going to do some fundraising. I would love to do fundraising to help the students attain these goals. And that's really all I have. If you allow me to do this, I would like some practice driving the van and some advice as far as fundraising goes. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes.
How many people do you anticipate would be?
So in my French 3 and 4 class this coming year, I have 9 students. All of my juniors and seniors combined, so I have some juniors and seniors in my lower level students, maybe about 12. I don't think they would all come, but I would invite them all to come. But I wouldn't take more than 12 students with me.
How many, do you have any, other than yourself, is there be other chaperones?
I would ask for chaperones, either staff. Some of my students, their parents are also staff at Winslow, so I would ask them, and I would ask the parents of the students if they were interested in coming. So, but yeah, I wouldn't just go by myself. I would want at least another adult. Yeah.
Now, one other question, curiosity, what is the drinking age here in Quebec?
I believe it's 18.
18.
So if you use vans and you have 12, you'd have to have 2, so you'd have to have another driver as well. So that would be fine.
Okay, that would be great, yeah, to have two of us.
Sounds like a good trip.
Saint Anne de Beaupré, Ile d'Orly.
Oh, so that's the thing, over 3 days, you know, you can only do so much, but eventually I'd like to plan more involved, longer trips with budgets, but as of first off, something small to start.
Sarah, will you come back with that tonight? You're asking for concept approval, or you're asking for approval to do it?
Concept approval.
Okay, so you will come back to us next fall or sometime next year because it's an out-of-state trip and the board needs to approve it.
Yes,
So you'll come back with a full presentation?
like
with
an itinerary with like
and all of
costs,
the- all of the
breakdown.
details worked out, perfect.
Yes, I will.
So. Hopefully, since this isn't final approval, I guess at this point, just to show of hands, I guess, on
Moving the concept?
who agrees with the concept. Maybe the motion, I guess.
No objections?
Huh?
I could just say no objections.
Yeah.
Objection, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have an official vote, it's only a concept at this point, so everybody all good? All right, doesn't appear to be any objections. Great. Thank you for putting the effort into that too.
Sarah, you're more than welcome to stay, but you don't need to.
We won't take it personally.
It's really nice out.
It's warm. All right, so next up, Pixelot live streaming subscription. Mr. Mark.
Yes. Thank you. Antoine Morin. I've just completed my second year here at Winslow Junior High School and my 29th year as a special educator in the state of Maine. And I really enjoy working here, so thank you for that opportunity. In addition to my classroom duties, I did 8th grade basketball the past 2 years here at the junior high school. And my first ever coaching job was 29 years ago as the 7th grade coach here at Winslow Junior High School. That was my first breaking into coaching. And now I'm coaching the son of the father I had. And, so I'm getting old. What is a pixel art camera? Peter mentioned artificial intelligence, AI. It's an AI camera. We've also heard the term COVID a lot. And right after COVID, there was an explosion of these cameras being used in schools. Schools were looking for a way to record and live stream events without using humans. And so we right now are the only school in our conference not to have one, not to have a camera in our gym. So I'm here on behalf of both the boys and girls varsity basketball boosters who have approved the concept. They want this technology in our gym, and it meets a couple of different needs. Number one, it would live stream all of our home games, boys and girls. We could do 7th and 8th grade. We could do unified. You could do award ceremonies in the gym. You could do anything that takes place in the gym could be live streamed. This technology does not compete. There is no compete clause with Black Raider News. We could show it on any platform. We could take the download, show it on Black Raider News. So there's no clause that says we can't use the content with this camera. So the live stream, again, what does that accomplish? It gives people who don't have the opportunity to come to the games a chance to view their son or daughter playing. A number of parents have conflicts with either a 9th grader on the girls team and a 12th grader on the boys team. They can't make both games, so this gives them an opportunity to see games that they wouldn't normally get a chance to be a part of. The pixel art camera comes under the umbrella of NFHS, which is the National Federation of High Schools, which is what the Maine Principal Association uses for their tournament games. So this technology is being promoted by the Maine Principal Association and NFHS. So $13.99 a month enables a person to go on you'd be able to go on to click a link on the Winslow High School webpage, click on live stream. You'd be, with that subscription, boom, you'd then be able to watch the game. If you wanted a whole year subscription, it's $79.99. That will give you not only, when you get these subscriptions, it's not just for our games, it's for anything on the NFHS umbrella. So that's just to give you an idea. I recently attended my nephew's MPA-sponsored baseball tournament game. It was $11.50 for one game. So $14 gets you a month of viewing. The school does have the potential to take 10% of each subscription, so they can recoup some of the costs if they so choose. This also includes if Winslow does participate in a MPA-sponsored tournament game, whether it be in Bangor or in Augusta, that this subscription gives them access to watch this game. Again, the Booster Club is prepared to buy the camera. It's $1,000 one-time fee. That includes installation, troubleshooting, and 24/7 assistance if there's any technical difficulties. Again, once Mr. Borgurin gives me the schedule, it then gets inputted. We put the date in, the time, boom, the camera comes on. It's an intelligent camera. It gets better every game as far as how to track in the gym, and there is no human cost as far as running it. That's kind of the technical camera live streaming side of this. The other part of this is the analytics side. You can't watch a sporting event, you can't watch ESPN, without seeing statistics scrolling at the bottom of the TV, every time a basket is made last night in the championship game, the percent either went up or down, okay, of who was going to win. That is all analytics. Alex Cora tonight is not going to create the Red Sox lineup. He's going to go up into a room and a bunch of guys from MIT are going to give him the lineup and say, Mr. Cora, this is who you're playing tonight for the Red Sox. And that's based on analytics. So from a coaching perspective, this is something I'm really excited about. I'm an analytics geek, if you will. I love this stuff. I think it would give us a competitive advantage, which we don't have right now because all the other teams are using it and using it against us, if you will. So for $600 per team, which the Booster Club is going to pay for, once the game is finished, I would literally click send, and the entire game is sent to an analytics company that then within 6 hours gives me the entire breakdown of stats, shot charts, tendencies, minutes played, boom, right back to me with highlights. I can then take those highlights, give them individually to the players. Hey, great job. And I can give them the clip and the exact time that they made the play, and we use it as a teaching tool. We then are able, if we're in the NFHS network, to go in and scout other teams and use analytics to prepare for our opponents. So that's the second piece. There's the live streaming piece, and then there's the analytics software tool piece. Every student now in college is looking to get an NIL deal, name, image, license. And a lot of students right now, when they go, if they're good enough to play at the next level in college, what you do now is you present a highlights package. And so this, with all the games recorded, literally students can go in and create their own highlights package, prepare that, and then send it to a college to try to promote themselves. There's potential if other sporting teams wanted to jump onto this. For instance, if football were to want to jump onto this, literally from talking to the technician, they would put an antenna with a camera, which would then feed to the camera in the gym, and then that could then be broadcast over live stream. So there is potential for other teams to piggyback off of this technology. I'm certainly not promoting this, but it's $4,000 a year to have community-free streaming. So that is the number that was given to me by the company, just to make it available free for the community. But I think starting with the monthly subscription by the individual would be the way to go. Any questions on what the AI camera is, what live streaming can accomplish, or the analytics?
I have a question. You said it's $600 a team.
Yes.
So if you've got girls and boys varsity, girls and boys junior varsity, then you've got 4 teams?
Okay, no, it's the analytics piece would just be 600 per boys and girls.
Just for the analytics?
Yes, yeah. And Boosters is paying for that. There's no cost to the,
No, I understand that, I was just,
So the cost of the taxpayers would be the original $1,000?
no, the boosters is.
The boosters would pay that.
That's a one-time fee. The analytics software package would be annually. And
So there wouldn't be
booster-
any cost to the taxpayers in theory?
No.
Except for if we decide to go with the $4,000 a year, maybe?
Yes,
and the subscriptions.
Or if they want to
Yes.
watch it,
And
they pay
you can't-
$14 a month individually to watch.
Right,
Yeah,
you can't watch it
I
unless
could
you
pay,
a
I could pay
subscription.
$80 a month and watch it, or we could pay $4,000 a year and anybody in Winslow could watch it.
correct.
Correct.
It's $80 for the year, 14 per month.
For $80, do you get to watch any of the games that get broadcasted?
Anywhere in the country, any game in Maine, any sport, it doesn't limit you to basketball. Any live streamed event that NFHS offers.
NFHS, is that the company?
NFHS is the National Federation of High Schools. So for instance, Jim might be able to better explain this. For me to be a coach, I have to do a certain amount of credentials and licenses through NFHS. They provide concussion protocol, first aid, CPR. So Pixelart is in an agreement with NFHS.
Thank you.
So I know I've done a subscription at some point for probably a soccer game, I imagine. Once they have your email, you'll get notices of games for other schools that you might be interested in, that they'll send you, or you can.
Just like sit and listen to this, just a couple things. No cost to the taxpayer. Secondly, the camera will not be on during the day, so you don't have to worry about your children being viewed during the day. It's only when we set up for athletic events that will be used. So it's not, I mean, we have cameras on our gym anyway, so, but this camera will not do anything but cover games. He's correct in saying if Messalonski has this technology and you have a grandson that plays in Messalonski, your subscription will not allow you to watch the Winslow games, but the ones at Messalonski. It's a great theory because there's no cost to us, but it allows grandparents who might live in Connecticut or Rhode Island a chance to do it. During COVID, we did this for every sport, and it was costly for us. Plus, it was man time. It was very difficult for us to do this. So having this artificial intelligence do it for us is a great thing. There's really no downside to it. It's going to be a plus to the teams, obviously. But the way I look at it, I can't think of anything down. There's a no compete clause, which means let's say Epic View wants to come in our gym and show. Epic View is a company out of Fairfield that does a lot of games. If they want to come into our gym and do the game, I would say the more the merrier. I have like Epic View and the school will often call me, can I cover a game? I said, absolutely, you're both welcome to come. I will not do exclusivity, which we're not going to do with this. So I think what Antoine sold you is a great deal, not only for the school, but for the parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. It really gives them an opportunity to view their family playing a sport that they normally wouldn't get. Now, some people have said it will hurt the gate. No, because the average person's grandmother who is in town, or the mother and father, they're going to come support their children live. So it's not going to hurt us in the gate. We're still selling a lot of tickets, so I don't think this will hurt that.
Is there audio with this camera also?
No play-by-play, but you'll hear everything on the audio.
Well, because like I watch Flow Wrestling for wrestling, and you don't always get audio, so you have no idea what's going on. So I have a kid that plays basketball, but I don't know the sport at all. So hearing the audio is helpful.
There's an example, like if you buy this subscription, and your son next year competes in the state championship, because you paid through for the Winslow, you can watch the state championship through another school's NFHS. So there's pluses. And again, he said it well. The MPA is promoting this product. They're getting a kickback. That's why they're really promoting it. But there's promotion there. And so we're the only school locally that doesn't do this. So obviously this wouldn't be something I ask taxpayers to cover, but with our boosters being willing to step up, I think it's a great deal.
So you mentioned the 10% on the subscriptions. You said could or couldn't. What happens if, what are the options there? We choose to get 10% or we don't, and who gets the money if we don't?
Pixelart.
Okay.
Or, excuse me, NFHS.
We're going to get the 10%.
Yeah.
And again, I talked to other schools, you're not talking a lot of money. You might be talking, I think some schools say they've gotten a check maybe quarterly for $150. Which is nothing to sneeze at, but you're not talking big bucks. And what we have is it would go to the school general fund.
Well, I'm just wondering about, but yeah, the 10% and obviously having the revenue from that, if the camera got damaged and whatever, and they say, well, yeah, you gotta spend another $1,000. Well, if we've been getting subscription money, then maybe we don't have to cover, boosters aren't covering it the second time, is kind of what I'm thinking.
The camera's protected. No schools have had problems with any damage to the cameras, they're protected.
Okay.
It's in a metal casing, and that's what
Yeah.
covers the camera itself.
Stuck on the wall somewhere or something?
Yeah, if you could, we've had a technician come in and he said, easy setup. It would be, across from where the players sit, up high. And it's mounted, bolt mounted. And then, it runs, into our network, and that's how it's able to be live streamed onto the screen.
And then if another sport wanted to get involved, say football, they would buy their own camera and have it mounted over there? Is that how it works?
Yes, and then that antenna, you just need, the way the technician explained it, all you need is a line of sight. Could be up to 3 miles, but it's right over here, and then that feed gets sent
Through the system.
into our
For the
network.
statistics.
See, football's already using Huddle. They're not using the live stream for Huddle, but they're using it for exchange of tapes with other, you have to exchange tapes after games.
Yep.
And they're using it for that. It'd be a very simple process to put the cameras on that. So it'd be a simple
This
process.
just sounded more easy for because parents don't have access to Huddle, but they would have access to
Right,
this, so I was just
but it was
curious.
easy, be an easy fix.
The Huddle camera, because they're not associated with the MPA, is 3 times as much. The pixel lot, so we did do price comparisons.
So would you plan on doing other sports?
Not unless the boosters want to get involved, we're not gonna, we just don't have the budget to be putting
Right.
cameras on fields. So this is being initiated by the basketball boosters, and the administration feels it's a good idea, but yet we're not gonna be in the business of putting cameras on all our fields.
So would it be $1,000 each time, like it is for the original one?
Approximately, yes.
Yeah.
Little slightly different
Yeah,
camera for the
yeah.
football field, be a little slightly different for soccer. It's more of a stand-up, but, yeah.
I'd seen
Thank you.
plenty of opportunities to watch some of these games, but I didn't know how it all works, so now I know more.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So do we need a motion for this,
We would, and.
even though there's no taxpayers' money involved?
Right,
Let's
but
go
we have
within
to
the school.
approve. Put the camera in.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. So any further discussion? As far as the so it all comes down to the schedule that Jim would put in, and as far as it turns on
And obviously
automatically.
with cancellations, you can revise the schedules, so if
Okay.
Monday night game gets canceled because of snow, you just move to the next day, you're available.
So you're all over it.
Well, anyone seems to be all over.
My hope is to get a affirmative recommendation and this summer get it installed and then actually tape a couple summer basketball games so that I get competent in how to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of proceeding with the approval of this basketball? Great, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Be interested to see what that looks like.
Antoine, you don't have to stay.
I love this stuff.
More than welcome.
I'm gonna say the drinking age in Quebec is actually 19, and in some places it's merely a suggestion.
That's how I get chaperones. So, next up, we have the K-6 General Music Curriculum. Michelle.
Good evening. As you see on the agenda, we have several curriculum documents to read for you this evening, which is exciting for me and I think exciting for our faculty to sit over several years in some cases and talk through what is it we want kids to know and be able to do in each content area. How are we doing that across grades and so forth, and to bring it before you this evening is exciting. So we'll start with general music. Carrie is here. Thank you. So I'll do a little introduction, and then I've got teachers that have been able to come to answer any questions and maybe fill in where I might miss something. So we'll start with K through 6 general music curriculum. The K-6 general music curriculum is divided into 3 courses. There's a K-2 course, a 3-5 course, and a grade 6 course. The K-5 courses are delivered to students once per week in a time slot that is approximately 30 minutes, while the grade 6 course is offered to students via the UA rotation schedule. And I think that's important for you to know as you look at the content and skills, that how much time Carrie has to work with kids. What can you reasonably accomplish over the course of the year? And she does a lot. The K through 5 courses are differentiated within the grade span where applicable, with notes referenced in the content and skills section, those that are unique by grade level. So in the K2 course, if there was something unique to 2nd grade, because it's a little more advanced, as you look through the curriculum documents that you were sent, you might have seen in that content section, it differentiated and it said grade 2, and it listed something unique for them that might be going on for them as I said, they're a little more advanced than kindergartners. This general music curriculum is provided for all students and creates a firm foundation for music knowledge, allowing students to access specialized music courses such as chorus, band, jazz band, show choir, piano, etc., should they choose as they get older. Music is like learning a new language, and so you'll note that the units don't stretch out in isolation over a calendar year like you'll see in social studies. They topically stretch out over a calendar year. Carrie introduces concepts and they repeat themselves and are repeated just like learning a language. You always come back to it and so forth. So if you look at the calendar, you can see hers is set up a little bit differently. And all of that culminates in our 6th grade course, which is the modern band course that, modern band?
Yeah, modern band actually starts a little bit in 3rd grade, where I introduce instruments that could be used in any genre of music. So we start with ukulele, and then we progress to guitar and keyboard in 4th grade, and then by 5th grade we're doing guitar, bass, keyboard, drum set, vocals, and performing in small bands. And then when they get to 6th grade, they take all that knowledge and they write a song for that type of band, using a program called Soundtrap, which has groups, so they can pull together all the sounds they want. They don't have to worry about hiring a band. And then they write the lyrics to a song, and they actually use their own voices. They can either speak the words in rhythm or rap them, or they can sing, and they present this final project to me as kind of their exit out of WES, which is a song that they've written for a modern band in whatever style they want, with lyrics and their own vocals, and I promise them I don't share it with anybody. But it really amazes me, the students that just thrive, ones that surprise me, and they can write about anything. I had somebody write about his pug last year, and it was the best song I had heard, and then somebody else just wrote about, I don't know what to write about. So it really shows that they're using all these concepts year after year in their final project.
That's what I think is exciting, the scope and sequence of the general music from K to 6, to see that build over time, and then the final product of 6th grade, and that's for all students.
This did go before the curriculum committee.
It did, and it was
Yeah.
unanimously voted on to move to the board.
Yes.
So if you have any questions?
Question, you said 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes a
A
week?
week.
Is that standard for like across the country or?
Yeah,
Pretty much, yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. I mean, 6th grade being a UA rotation, I see them every day for 40 minutes, about
Okay.
that, for 8 weeks. So we're cramming a lot, but when you look at, and I tell them, I'm like, it's the same, but you're just getting it all at once versus 40 classes throughout the year.
So the goal again is to provide that foundational knowledge, that experience for kids to have a little bit to grasp onto and decide, I really want to know more. I want to join band. I want to do chorus. I want to audition for a play. I want to, so I think Carrie does a really nice job of providing all kids exposure and opportunity should they choose to expand that as they get older.
Getting any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve the K-6 general music curriculum?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. I know I like going to the concert, so.
And no, we're not going to sing our acceptance, I'm sorry.
No. So we have the 7-8 chorus curriculum next.
All right, so we're gonna actually talk about 5 through 8 chorus.
Excuse me, 5-8.
So the 5-8 course curriculum is divided into 2 courses, grade 5 and then grade 6 through 8 as a grade span. The units themselves are very similar in form and foundation of choral studies. The courses are, of course, differentiated by degree of developmental difficulty, with a wide range of musical pieces being used as instructional activities annually. So as you looked at those units, or those courses rather, you saw very similar. I think there are 4 units listed for each grade level. But within that, Chris differentiates on level of difficulty for the selection, you know, what's developmentally appropriate for a 6th grader versus an 8th grader, the degree of memorization, a different language, they might do a song in another language, you know, so the concepts of choral music instruction are very similar as you go grade by grade. What's differentiated is the instructional activities. Yes. Questions about chorus curriculum?
Not seeing any question?
Nope.
I guess a motion would be in order.
So move.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. Any other discussion, questions? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the 5 to 8th grade course curriculum? It's unanimous. Very good. Thank you. Next up is the 7-8 hands-on tech curriculum.
Right, so this is a popular course. The popular hands-on tech course is an elective course offered in grades 7 and 8. This is not unlike what some of us, or my age at least, remember as being a traditional shop class. Remember shop class fondly, maybe? So many of us had that as our junior high school experience. This course is similar in some ways to that. The course highlights engineering and design principles along with foundational carpentry skills. The focus is on wood crafting, and there's all kinds of reasons for that. We talked about that at length in the curriculum committee. Just to kind of summarize here, the space is a classroom space with unique ventilation challenges or barriers to doing a full-blown, it's not a shop. It's not, it's a classroom. So he does a lot of hand tools. He has very limited electric power tools, that kind of thing, because it's in a classroom. So the focus is on engineering, design, and so forth. The course was recently enhanced to include the introduction of 3D printers in the classroom. He's built that in. So you'll see what you looked at that course. There are several units that he does, and it's a UA rotation. It's an elective.
This is an elective.
Yes, this is an elective, but sometimes it's a semester, sometimes it's a trimester. It has had different variations. So the number of units he can get through may change year to year. That's the structure changes.
So, and again, went through a curriculum committee and they approved it as well.
Choose
4 sections, 2
because it's so popular.
You need a motion on that?
We do.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? right, there was extensive conversation at the curriculum committee about this, so it was,
I want to take it. I'm going to take the class.
yeah, I want to sign up.
My kids-
Actually, I made a point of, with Michelle to go see the room, I wanted to go see.
Because when I was in school, girls were not allowed to take shows. I'm really.
You know,
You must have had home ec instead.
so, if there's nothing else, all in favor of approving the 7-8 hands-on tech curriculum as presented? It's unanimous. Since Michelle's been busy still, now we have K-5 art curriculum.
Right. This was a big project to work on. The K through 5 art curriculum is divided into 2 courses, a K2 course and a 3-5 course. These courses are delivered to students once per week in a time slot that is approximately 30 minutes. The curriculum focuses on teaching students the foundational elements of art in increasingly challenging and creative ways as they develop their art skills and knowledge throughout each grade level. The elements of art include line, shape, form, space, value, color, and texture. And you saw that as you look through each course, in the unit titles, you could see those elements of art and where they were being highlighted and progressing through the grade levels. The courses also have units that cover the Maine Department of Education standards around how to interpret or determine the purpose of art, ways to discuss or behave when around art, or ways to communicate through art, all in various cultural and physical settings. So there's a lot of the standards that include that kind of language. It's not just doing the art, it's how do we talk about art? What does art represent? Where is it in the community? How is it different when it's a statue in the middle of the school parking lot, welcoming area versus in a museum? How is that different? Using those elements of art to look at a piece and talk with a friend about what the artist might have been feeling, or how does that make you feel? Or I see the color red and that makes me feel maybe they were angry, or like all of those kinds of skills that are important. So these are called, you would have seen them in the content of all those courses. They're called Behave Like an Artist units. And there are 3 Behave Like an Artist units in each course. You'll see that again when we come in the fall with the 6 through 8 curriculum. Those units Behave Like an Artist, talks about those types of skills and cover those standards. So that's something that you'll see carried through K through 8 art curriculum. And Kip isn't here to answer questions, but I will do my best if you had questions about the content or skills of the K5 art.
Anything, but would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second? Do we have any other further discussion? It's interesting discussion again at the curriculum committee.
Yeah.
Have some passionate art teachers and such. So if there's no other discussion, all in favor of approving the K-5 art curriculum as presented? Unanimous.
Thank you. And as you know, Kip was leaving us for retirement, and we'll have a new art teacher. So it's really important that we brought the art curriculum before you, just as the social studies one that's coming up. We have a new social studies teacher that will be joining that grade span. And it's very important that the school board sees what it is we say in Winslow we want kids to know and what we want them to be able to do. And once we agree upon that and you approve it, that's what we hand to a new teacher and say, this is in Winslow what we want them to know and be able to do. How a teacher does that, right, they get to decide that. The activities they might use and such, but the school board really decides those 2 key pieces, ensuring that we're aligned to the standards. So it was important to get the art to you as the social studies. So we have 6 through 8 social studies is next, and a couple of the social studies teachers are here. Thank you. The 6 through 8 social studies courses has been updated and changed to reflect the most recent state standards, as well as a realignment of what content is covered, taking into account student developmental assets at various levels. So we view this as a 6 through 8 course, and over 4 years, sometime, taking the newest Maine learning results and looking at where we taught certain content in that grade span and shifting things around a little bit so that they would be a little bit, I think, more developmentally appropriate. So I'll start with 6th grade, and then our 7th grade teacher, Linda, and Mary Beth is here to talk about 8th grade. The grade 6 curriculum probably had the most changes, I'd say. Was updated with a move away from the study of ancient history and early civilizations to more current and tangible topics for 6th grade learners. It's hard for 6th graders to talk about ancient history. It's hard for me to remember what I did yesterday. I mean, kids don't relate to time. Time is hard. So we're moving away from that a little bit. With this shift, emphasis was placed on geography knowledge and skills, along with a more comprehensive dive into Maine studies. Special care is given to include local Winslow studies, along with Wabanaki studies, and each strand of social studies covered in the Maine studies units. And you notice the Maine studies, you may have noticed if you look through it, is now 4 units in that course, covering all the strands of social studies. So there's 1 unit that focuses on geography in Maine, 1 for history in Maine, 1 for civics and government, 1 for economics. And her last unit is focused on personal finance. So that's a pretty significant change to take out some of the ancient world history things to allow expansion of more current Maine studies curriculum. So I missed something with grade 6.
No, and I think it acts as a good base for what we continue to do in grade 7 and 8. So in 7th grade, we review some Maine geography, and then we continue with Wabanaki studies as well, and then move on into gosh, I lost my thought there. We do
Timeline, chronological.
We do that's what I was looking for, chronological timeline with Native Americans, and we go through exploration, colonization, the American Revolution, the Constitution, and we start with studying the presidents and how they start inputting that government into play with Washington and Adams. And then in 8th grade, Mary Beth continues. And we make sure that we take the time in 7th grade to look at, again, mapping and geography as part of all of our history, as well as primary source documents. And we start working on writing, having kids being able to explain a point of view and give evidence and reasoning with the information that we've been studying to give to make a point in writing. So we started that in 7th grade as well and continue it.
My turn?
Yeah.
So when the 8th graders come to me, what I usually start with is I do United States expansion map to kind of show them what we're going to cover. This big chunk of land, we get this big chunk of land, we get this big chunk of land when we get it, and then that is a resource that they go back to through the year. Then I do a review of where Linda left off, depending on how far she got at the end of her school year. So I do it more in a chunking kind of thing where I put the first presidents and political parties together, and I do a mini lesson or a mini unit on political parties themselves, because whenever we do the first political parties, it opens up a big discussion. So I created a smaller unit and I made sure that was in the curriculum just to bring the kids up through. These are the major political parties that we've had over time, and this is where they started and this is where they've turned into. Then I pick up and I go forward with Jefferson. As far as presidents, I get through Jefferson through Lincoln, but I do it more thematic, and that, if you look at it, that's the way it looks. Adding land on, looking at exploration, then I do Industrial Revolution, then, and how that changed, and finances and economy and how that affected everything. Then it comes into westward expansion, a big theme in the second half of the my brain's already started. Second half of the year is the idea of the country dividing and the major issue of slavery, but also economy and how people live their lives. If I can get to it at the end of the year, it all depends on students and work and how much we're able to get through and how much extension they need for time on the units. I end with and I put it, have Michelle put it in the curriculum, where they get a choice they can choose to study from post-Civil War on, and they develop their own individual project unit. So some years I get there, some years I don't. I do a lot of writing too. I don't know if I'm going to mention that, but yeah, I do a lot. I do a lot of, with eighth grade, I get them ready for document-based questions, looking at providing evidence to support their claims or to support why this happened in history. So that is a big emphasis I think I put on in eighth grade. And I also, talking with high school teachers, they said also get them comfortable with taking tests, because that is a big part of high school as well, and some of them actually panic when they have a test. So between the writing and test taking and how to take a test and how to study for a test, we do a lot of that as well.
So again, this went before the curriculum committee, but I will say, as she was talking about the writing piece, I mean, that's one thing that's talked about extensively at the curriculum committee, is how they work hard at putting writing into, it's multifaceted across all the curriculum to expand that, social studies, science, whatever, research, fact-based.
So they're called CERs, claim, evidence, and reasoning. And we are using the similar language now, right straight through high school, and similar practice. And what is your claim? What is the evidence that you take out of this reading? You take out of this primary source document? You take out of this video you watched? And then what is your reasoning, being able to defend?
Part of the integration of, as much as we talking earlier about test scores that were being reviewed for the summer, things like that. I mean, this a big effort for integration of both, so those reading scores aren't based upon what they're learning in English class solely. It's obviously what they're learning across all their curriculum. Same with math, where it's introduced across multiple curriculums. So puts it in context and use, which is important.
So social studies is a big area. It's just a big project to have brought forward.
Yeah.
Well, I think right from 6th through the 8th, you're teaching the kids how to search for facts as opposed to all the information that's out there. Some of it's true and some of it's not, but they're learning how to you're teaching them how to sift through all of that to really come up with fact-based decisions. So that's
And kind of doubled down too on geography.
Yes, that's
Hearing that kids don't know anything on them. They're like completely lost. So doubling down on that in each grade level.
Yeah, they are really unaware of a lot of places in our country.
In our state.
As well as our state.
Yeah.
So I described it to Linda, sometimes it's another type of foreign language we're teaching them because they haven't had a lot of it. So.
I want to take a second to thank Michelle, because social studies was allowed to have some professional development this year on how to work with kids with informational text, and that has been quite helpful this year as well, to help us teach our kids. So that was one of the best professional development I've had in 41 years of teaching, so kudos for that.
All right, good work. So, entertain a motion to approve the 6 to 8 social studies curriculum.
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second? Do we have any other questions or discussions?
fine job. Everybody is really solid.
All right, sounds good. I enjoy social studies. All in favor of approving the 6th grade social studies curriculum as presented? All right, thank
6
you.
through 8.
6, what did I say?
You just said 6.
Oh, 6 through 8, okay. Because all the backup documents, for anybody who's watching this online, all the backup documents are, as Michelle can tell you right where they are on our website.
Right, so now that those items have been approved, what I'll go into our curriculum platform titled Atlas, and I will turn on for public view the standards, the content, and the skills. You can also go to our website, our curriculum instruction website by discipline. And it's a more, I would say, parent-friendly kind of language that will just kind of talk about what, in each grade level, what is it, the content that kids will be covering. So that will all be updated on our website as well now that it's come before the board. So they can go in a couple places to view the actual documents.
Very good. And there's quite a lot to those documents.
And so you're aware as well, the process from the Department of Education in terms of standards is they review standards every 5 years. Social studies standards were reviewed recently and changes were suggested. Those changes were rejected by the legislature and sent back to the committee. Last I heard, that committee was just going to bring them forward again. They weren't going to change anything. So there's going to be a little bit of a tussle there, I think. So that we will stay where we are until such time as the state changes the standards, and then we get our group together and we look to see, do we need to, and where do we need to make changes? And if we make substantive changes, we go through the process again and we bring it back to the curriculum committee and back to you again. So that's the process every 5 years. As standards change, curriculum documents, we work on changing them. And that's timely. I mean, that's time consuming. So it takes a long time depending on the changes that they've made to actually get to the point where we are tonight. So just so you understand.
Well, you're covering the information, in this case, for 3 grades for, 3 years worth of schooling.
Right.
That's a lot of information.
A lot of standards.
It's a lot of standards. So, all right. Good with that. So next up, change to the GT Visual and Performing Arts screening process.
Okay, this came forward from our visual and performing arts teachers. I did convene the board gifted and talented committee to discuss this, and they voted to bring it before the school board. So the visual and performing arts teachers have asked to change the gifted and talented screening process, moving from initial GT identification screening from grade 2 to grade 3 for visual and performing arts. Citing more accurate and voluminous evidence appears to be available in visual and performing arts GT in the 3rd grade versus the 2nd grade. And as I said, I did convene the GT committee, board committee, and they voted to approve this change and bring it before the school board for final approval.
There's good discussion about that at the Gifted and Talent Committee, and it sends to us.
I have another presentation after this.
So do you need a motion here?
We do need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor of approving the change to the GT Visual and Arts screening? Unanimous.
Who is that? You're still on.
Steve. Next up, Michelle, I guess, is doing title application intended spending.
That needs to be muted. I don't know. I don't know. Should I touch this? I don't know where Will is. Okay. That fixes it.
Not sure what that.
If nobody can hear us, Will can come running over and let us know that.
Will just, he's in the hall and he's backing up.
All right, so we're required to share with you and the public our allocations for title funding. So I annually come before you and share what our allocation is and how we typically use it, and what our plans are for using that allocation. So that's what this is.
Can you get rid of that? I didn't know if you were seeing that on your screen.
No, I don't see it. I don't.
Okay.
Ashley went. I muted that laptop. I don't know if that was bad. Stop the echo, Papa, but I don't know if that means anything on your end. Thank you. All right, so here are our fiscal year 26 preliminary allocations. We will not receive final allocations from the Department of Education for, I don't know when, some time now, the next few weeks, I would think. You'll note that Title II is pending with the possibility of funding being cut entirely. There's been a lot of question about our title allocations with the new administration at the federal level. And one thing we've heard repeatedly is that Title II may be cut entirely. That will impact us. So we'll talk briefly about that, but we did receive some Title I money, as you can see. There's the amount we are allocated, and we recently received an allocation for Title IV as well. Here's a year-by-year look at our title allocation. You'll note that we're allocated a bit more this year for both Title I and Title IV. You'll also note that our salary obligations are up as well. We support 2 teachers, specialists, math and literacy, 4 Ed Tech 3s, and 70% of a general education teacher for the purposes of class size reduction. So that top line is this coming fiscal year. So you can see over time how our allocations and our salary obligations have changed. So you're looking at Title I allocation, our salary obligation, and then the difference left for us to cover, which was at $64,658.38. So we'll talk about how we're going to make up that difference. So Title I is used, the bulk of that money is used for salaries, and you can see that we don't actually get allocated enough to cover our salary obligations. So the bulk of it is used with salaries. Title I, we have a school-wide program. We have them. We use the resources to support many reading and math supplies for all students, professional development for all staff, supplies available for parents such as books, and a monthly newsletter focusing on how families can support literacy and math learning. Because we have a school-wide model, we can use these funds for any child in the school. So here's an outline of how we intend. This is a current estimate. This may change a little bit after our leadership retreat, but you can see our now allocation of $435,844.60. You can see our salary obligation of $500,000. Some supplies in there for math and literacy night and some other supplies. I've estimated $3,200. There's a little note of a cut there because I actually had planned on more, but I've cut it back a little bit to see if we can put more in, we will. Professional development, we will leave $4,600 in there at least for that. We are required to set aside some money for homelessness, so we set aside $1,000. The summer workshop that Peter referenced, we pay teachers an honorarium to attend that. That money is set there at $4,000. So the estimated total of expenses for us is $513,305. That's a $77,000 above our allocation. So then we look at Title II. Generally, Title II has been used for staff development, use it for the high school and junior high. And we've been able to take items out of the local budget annually and use Title II to cover those things for the junior high and high school. The elementary school's been able to use Title I for those sorts of things because they're a Title I school. So funds are typically used to cover summer leadership workshops, substitutes for class release time, conferences, coaches that we might hire, different texts, resources, supplies, and so forth. These funds are used for the staff. They are not used for students by requirement. It's not by choice. That's what the money is for. It's for staff development. And we've relied heavily on that to introduce our math and reading programs with iReady to bring in professional development about those programs and the professional development that Linda Lambert referenced about informational text, we hired a coach for that. She's fabulous. We're hoping to retain her this year from Foundations for Futures. So if we have an allocation of $0, because that's being cut, then those things are in the future not an option for us. I have put on here what I had planned on spending per school, and we will have a carryover amount from this year to next year of $43,664.09 as of June, when I printed the budget to do this presentation. I don't know, I might have bought some books for the English department at the high school since then, but it's about that amount. So I still may be able to hire them, the coach for professional. There's some of the things I'll still be able to do. The concern is as we look forward. So we can maybe survive on carryover for a year. If we don't get Title II moving forward into the future, things will look a little bit different than what we've been kind of doing. Title IV. This money is allowed to be spent for students. In the past, it has been used at the junior high school. The allowable areas are well-rounded, equitable programming, healthy student programming, effective use of technology, and so forth. What we end up doing is transferring all of that money into Title I. We have a $77,000 gap, so we take all of Title IV right in our application and we move it all to Title I to help cover that gap that I showed you earlier. So if we go back to looking at the gap, I said we had $77,459.38 above the allocation. If we transfer all of Title IV into Title I, you see we have no Title II money as of this date. And we have carryover money annually. We have 15% from this year's money we're allowed to carry forward. That's about $70,000. All of that together will cover the deficit that we have. We would be adding $113,855.11 to Title I, and that would put us about $37,000 above what we need. So we'll be okay next year in Title I. That said, we are allowed annually a 15% carryover of our allocation. So we would be allowed to bring forward $71,000 into next year to help us out, and we are short of that. We don't have that much excess. All of that said, the Department of Education applied for what's called a Tidings Amendment waiver. This Tidings Amendment waiver allows schools to carry over more than the 15% without being penalized. So because the state got that, we will be allowed to bring over any carryover we have from this year, which will then help us have carryover the following year. I don't know if you're able to follow. I know it's a lot, but I think for Title I, unless they cut it, we are okay next year and should be okay the following year, I think, for Title I. I don't want to promise because things could change, but as we plan for next year, I think we have the resources to cover our expenses in Title I. So once the application is completely drafted, which doesn't usually happen until after the administrative retreat, because part of the application is we'll set goals and we'll write projects and such. All of that information is on our website, and we are open for public comment. The public can email and ask questions about this or make a comment. And those are the dates of public comment. Public comment opens tonight as I share it with you. And we leave it open for a certain amount of time if anyone has a comment or something about how we use title funding. And we are required to provide that.
So one of the pieces that, as Michelle alluded to, we don't receive Title II funds. Title II funds for professional development allows us to do a lot of different things in a lot of different content areas for our staff. You heard tonight the ability to have some staff professional development in the area of history. That is a concern that we have moving forward because it does tie our hands a little bit if we don't have that. It limits the opportunities financially that we've been lauded for the past, I don't know how many years, the title funds. So we're hoping that we still get something. They're still working on it.
How much is that typically average per year that we receive for title?
For which title?
The one that's gonna be eliminated.
Title II, last year we received $63,056.04.
And how much, you've been using it to develop for the new curriculum in math, right? And reading or whatever it was, right? Have you reached the level where that's been implemented?
Correct. We'll use some funds this year for algebra. We've added algebra into the 9th grade. So we will have a couple of presentations for that math. But yes, what we've done with professional development is shifted from paying them to come and teach us about implementing the program and the strategies of teaching to the content of math itself. So they are coming fewer times. So we pared back a little bit on our use of them. The iReady.
Thank you.
The problem, it's not a problem. I mean, it's a cycle. It's a learning cycle. So every year you talk about what's your data telling you? How did you do? What are some of the things you need to work on? Okay, we need to work on X, Y, and Z. Do we need professional development from outside the district to help us look at X, Y, and Z? How much is that going to cost? How do we pay for it? Title II funds.
Right. So next year I would have, AI is on our list. Do we need to start learning about that? And we need to find people that knows about it and coming in, and that could cost us some money. ESOL. How do you teach students who are coming to you, coming more and more to us that don't speak English as their primary language? That's a challenge for our staff. So what support can we bring on in that topic? So those are the types of things that we would turn to Title II and say, how can we get professional development in these areas of need that we see in the district?
Linda touched on it when she was talking about informational text. I know that was one of the things that showed in our testing results that we needed more work in informational text. So it might not be specific to one curriculum, although it applied to Linda with social studies, for example, but it applies to all curriculum that informational text is.
Right, we have used a lot for science over the years.
Professional development to improve techniques for that.
Yep.
So, you know, as we review the testing information and data, I mean, we should, you know, if we're going to continuously be improving, we should always find something that we need to work on. So professional development is ongoing. So hopefully.
I mean, another area of need is going to be chronic absenteeism for the district. That's an area across the state. That's an area of need. The Department of Education is looking at that, and we should be looking at that as a district. So that's something we would use Title II funds to help support. What are we going to do about that? And how can we, what strategies are there that we can, so there's lots of things that we would use those funds to help us.
It's always a problem to solve.
Yes. So the public comment session, portion of our requirement opens tonight.
Yeah.
I'll be sharing this with you. Once the application is complete, it will go on our website. You can see it there.
And as Michelle said, this is a preliminary. So she'll come back after we've had the retreat, after we've established our goals, after we've looked at all of the pieces that we're going to look at for this year with the plan. And the plan is a comprehensive plan that is used to direct what we're doing for your approval of that later. This is an opportunity for the public to be able to chime in and say, what about this? What about that? If they have any questions.
For titles.
For titles.
Okay. Hopefully you'll heard one way or the other about Title II.
Right.
The adult discussions of the U.S. Department of Education have title funds and the distribution of title funds to meet the needs that the laws that set up those title funds at the federal level, they're supposed to disperse those funds accordingly, but that's a question mark right now.
Right, there's a lot of uncertainty.
And as much as we talked about Title II, I mean, Title I is a much bigger chunk of money.
That's right.
That is substantial. So hopefully we don't see the demise of that. So, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
You've been up there long enough. Okay. Next up is the school board delegate and the alternate, and that would be for the Maine School Board Association Delegate Assembly. I served in that role for a number of years, and I'm on the Maine School Board Association Board of Directors anyway, so if you're so inclined to have me as your delegate moving forward, I could do that, and we should have an alternate just in case I get hit by a bus. Not one of our buses, of course, but yeah, I'll definitely be attending the.
So do you need a motion? Do you need a motion for us to appoint you as the delegate?
Yes, you need to vote on that as the delegate, and if anybody wants to be an alternate.
Who's the alternate now?
I think it's Earl right now, but I don't think he's going to be available to do that.
What's the date of it?
It's in October. It's a virtual meeting. It's online. It used to be live pre-COVID. It is now done on Zoom on a Saturday morning in October, usually second or third week of October, just prior to the Maine School Management Fall Conference. So anyway. So you asked Steve, did you make a motion?
As someone's gonna volunteer for the alternate first, if you wanna do them both at the same time. Unless you wanna reappoint Earl as the alternate.
We don't need an alternate, and
Okay.
we could decide on an alternate later if we needed to.
Okay.
Decide you can't be there.
But we should have said, if something happens to me, I'll be there regardless, because I'm on that board.
I motion for Joel to be our delegate for the school board assembly.
I'll second that.
Once you can, if I can find out the date, I'll let you.
Sure. Yeah, cover that when we get closer. Actually, what will happen is at some point further into the year, there will be, so the delegate assembly votes on resolutions that are put forward by the Maine School Board Association for what it advocates for in regards to sort of things that like the state to do as part of its deliverance of education. It might be encouraging more state resources be committed to school construction or curriculum development for Wabanaki curriculum, that sort of thing. Those sort of things come up. So they'll come out a little later this year with the suggested, with the resolutions that have been worked on for months. I can assure you of that. And so everybody will have a chance to see those, which the delegates then vote on at the delegate assembly. So we'll be talking about it again as the resolutions come up. So we have a motion, we have a second? Okay. Nothing else? All in favor of voting me, I guess, is the delegate? All right.
You're stuck.
Should I abstain? I can vote no.
Too bad, you're outvoted.
All right, vote on appointments. We have a number of appointments, and do we don't have any additions at this point for appointments? Okay, so we have a number of appointments.
Move to accept the appointments that are listed.
Well, we should probably take a motion to take them as a group first. That is,
Move to take the appointments as a group.
okay.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of taking the list of appointments as a group? It's unanimous.
Move to accept the group.
Move to accept the group of appointments. Do we have a second?
Okay.
We have a second? Yeah. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the list of appointments? Thank you very much. And of course, that is inclusive of our new elementary school principal. Huh? Assistant principal, excuse me, assistant principal. We already have principal, we did that already.
You kind of failed there for a moment.
We haven't gotten ready yet, Tom. So.
Here's a
excited to
quick
have a
assignment,
new
Tom, don't worry.
assistant principal as well. All right. Next, we have resignations. I think Peter had one to add to the list.
Joel Lavinson, junior high boys soccer coach.
And of course, Peter accepts these as they come along, so we move to replace the positions as necessary, not waiting for us. So that's done. Other business? Do we have any other business? So, we've set up thanks and praise to our outgoing principal. Thank you again. We wish you well. We see your very bright Jeep driving around town. We know it's you. No hiding with that. All right, so there being nothing else, our next meeting is in August. We have July off unless we happen to have a special one for any given reason. So keep an eye on your email, just in case, don't forget about your email over the summer. And given that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, second. Second. All in favor of adjournment? It is unanimous. Have a good summer.